call into order the June 6th meeting of the Environmental Matters Committee. First thing, do I have any motion to approve the agenda as amended to remove AP 1223?
Second.
All those approved, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Have a motion to approve the minutes from, let's see, what is that, March?
April 28th.
April 18th?
Oh, 18th, April 18th.
Yeah.
Move approval of the minutes from the April 18th meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have AP 923, which is the appointment of Mr. Jared Lerner to Port Wardens. And I think he's here to join us today. If you'd be willing to, whichever, table's good, yeah. Just make sure you turn the mic on and state your name and address for the record, please.
Jared Lerner,
State your address too for the record.
38 Madison Place in Annapolis, 21620.
All right, and so you are looking to get appointed to the Board of Port Wardens. Can you go into a little bit as far as where your interest is coming from, and if there's anything in particular you're looking to bring to or do for the board?
Sure. I moved to Annapolis in 2015. I have two kids in town, a 10 and a 5-year-old. I grew up on the water in upstate New York. I moved to Annapolis and have been involved in water activities, boating, sailing for my whole life. I would like to get involved and give back to the community. And I know about waterways and riparian rights, and I have a friend who serves on the committee, and I think it'd be a good way for me to get involved and give back. I'm on the Annapolis waterways daily. I was on Weems today and on Back Creek, and I'd like to get involved doing that. My son's an Opti sailor, so he's on the water all the time as well. I keep a boat on Back Creek. And I think it would be interesting. I was a commercial real estate and residential real estate agent before I became a stay-at-home father for my 10-year-old when he was born in 2012. So, and I continue to do that to this day. I have a 5-year-old and 10-year-old. They're both at Key School. I'm a stay-at-home parent to them, but I have a lot of spare time to get involved.
Excellent. And you said you have a friend who's on the board, and he actually wants to get reappointed, which is good. Thank you. And I saw also you.
The board is the chair.
Oh, the chair. So I also see you went to Washington College.
I said, we have a bad experience with people from
Yes.
Washington College.
What year did you graduate?
So I graduated in 2004. I should have graduated earlier, but I took a couple years off. And then my wife graduated in 2006 from
okay.
Washington College as well. So
Just after me by a few years then.
okay, yeah, we still are in Chestertown on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So
Good. Well, thank you for your interest. Are there any other questions?
I do have one question. What did you say your zip code was?
21401.
Because you said 216
Yes, that's Chestertown.
something. Oh,
Yes.
okay. It's like, where is that? Okay. So you are an animal.
I do. I live in President's Hill. I'm the vice president of the community association there, and involved in stuff in the neighborhood there as well.
Oh, great. Thank you. And thank you for your interest
Thank you.
in serving.
Do you have a sailboat now?
I don't. I own an Opti, and I own a Laser. I have a center console at the moment, not a sailboat.
Okay, just curious. You said power sail. I'm looking for a sailboat.
Yeah. Yeah, with the kids, I don't. There's not a lot of time for that.
Yeah. Especially those ages. All right. Is there a motion?
I move we recommend approval.
Second.
All those in favor of recommending favorably for AP 923, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries, and thank you very much. So this will go to, you don't need to attend, but it'll go to the city council just for a formal vote.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It'll go on Monday, right?
Oh, this Monday?
Yeah,
Or next, we have another meeting, right? Oh my gosh. All right. Next up, we have AP 1123, which is just a reappointment of Jeremy Henson to the Environmental Commission, and he's been on there for a little while, and I know he's very involved. I actually just met him for lunch a week or so ago. So I think this would be good for the committee just to recommend favorably if we're so inclined.
Second?
I'm sorry, I lost my other page. I couldn't get back to the agenda.
So this is a reappointment.
Reappointment of Mr. Henson.
Yes.
Was it motion made? I'll second it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next up, we have AP 1323, reappointment of Mr. Robert Shapiro to the Port Wardens. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And how long have you been on the Port Wardens? now?
A little over 3 years.
All right, excellent. And thank you for being willing to serve again. Is there anything in your experience on the board that you would like to relay to us as far as things we might want to look at?
Probably just simply how incredible Carrie Berger is. That's really about it. Like, she is truly spectacular. We didn't have her for the last meeting, and she is so invaluable, and especially taking over as chair when Jean left, and of course knew everything because 28 years of service. It's been great having her there. That's it. Otherwise, it's just dealing with Robert's Rules of Order,
Yeah.
which I have to have it scripted or else I'll screw it up.
Yeah. Well, the mayor does too, so that's right. All right, thank you very much. Any questions for
Nope.
Mr. Shapiro?
No?
Regularly attend the Port Wardens, and Harold
You still
Solomon
want
is
to
on there.
participate, so it's all good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
Move we recommend favorable reappointment.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have about 20 minutes. That's our target anyway. We'll see if we can get this done. Next up, we have 05522. And this legislation, if you recall, it did, actually, I'm not sure if you were at that meeting, Alderman Arnett, but it did go before the entire council, but we had some,
Mr. Chair, there was also on the agenda reappointment to the Environmental Commission for Allison Colden.
I thought you said that was getting withdrawn because
Oh,
somebody
no, I did
told me
not hear
because she
that.
took a promotion and,
It's in question still.
Now it's been doing it.
I have not heard anything from Ms. Rakovich regarding that
you
it was
haven't?
withdrawn.
Okay.
Can I go to settings?
all right, let me
The timeout?
check with Ms. Jackson when she has a minute. The appointment, AP, the one for Ms. Colden? Are you the one who told me that one, to take that off?
I got
Yeah.
Hillary
She
actually
told you?
asked me to take it off
Okay.
because she accepted another position somewhere else and it will interfere.
I see, okay, so that's confirmed.
See, it keeps timing out.
Thank you.
Oh, your screen time.
We'll see if we're just gonna pause for a minute while we get the technology sorted
So
out.
How do I change that? And who changed it? Because
So what is this with the fee schedule?
Oh, that's just so
The
R
addition of
1523 is just we already reviewed that, but it's sticking with it since they're
They
sister.
go together, yeah. So that is the fees that's attached to
Yeah.
the legislation.
yeah, well, let's go on with the meeting. It's just a pain in the butt. Every time I turn
You know,
around,
we have
it's
a work
going
session
blank.
on Thursday too.
This week?
We have finance tomorrow.
Can't get ahead of me.
You have finance tomorrow?
Yes.
Again?
Oh, you're gonna hear every day.
Jody sent me an email and said, see you on Monday.
Thank you.
And I said, don't we have a meeting on Wednesday? So she said, oh, shucks, yeah.
All right, are you set, Alderman?
No, but go ahead,
All right.
because I'm
Well, I'm
Rapidly
just giving
losing
you background
interest.
anyway. So I think you may have missed the council meeting, but 055 did come before the entire council, but we had some confusion because the version of the amendments that was posted was not, it had some mistakes on it. So we got that straightened out. The one before you is the correct one. And, but because of the confusion and also because of the question regarding the rain event definition, we referred it back to committee. So that's why it's coming back to us today. And if you look, are you having problems with bringing up the legislation itself?
No,
Well, I mean, you
hard
can just
drives.
go off, can you just go off the printed for now?
yeah, I can. But my stupid laptop keeps timing out, and we can't change the timeout. Go ahead.
So these are the amendments that I developed between Public Works and I. We went over these previously, and the only question we had, if you look on the first page, number 3, and this has to do with the rainfall event. And we, I think there was concern previously about that because it used to be half an inch storm event, so half an inch of rain over the course of 24 hours is what we were defining as rainfall event. I think there was some concern about that being too frequent.
Well, I think in my mind, an inch is not a lot. But in the professionals, from the professionals' perspective, and Ms. McEwen, is it McEwen? Sent me an explanation and how that is determined. And so I'm satisfied that if, whatever monitor that you use indicates that 1 inch is significant, I'm good with that. I just was using my head thinking, that little bit of water, but it is significant, I guess.
Technically, yeah. And I think you wanted to add, you could just state your name for the
Hi,
record.
Betsy McKeown, the Stormwater Program Manager. And I agree, I think we've landed on a good definition. So if you're both all okay with it, so am I. And I would likely just be referring back to that same rain gauge that I sent to you at the Naval Academy to move forward with any downstream inspections based on that criteria.
And I sent you an email today, which you probably didn't get, to say, I thank you for your response and you'll need to come to the meeting. For me.
I like being here, so here I am.
Good answer.
Well, good. You obviously weren't here yesterday.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know if we can say that at the moment.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Well, so if the committee's ready, if you're comfortable with the language in there currently, do we want to make a motion or do you have anything else to
Mr. Chair,
discuss?
I'll make a motion that we give a favorable recommendation to 05522. If Alderman Arnett will just
Second.
All those in favor of making a favorable recommendation, please say aye.
aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. We're going to refer this back to, or send it to the city council. Did you have any questions? So next up is R1523, which is the sister legislation establishing the new fee. I think we did talk about this before, but is there anything else? Any other questions?
I think the only question I recall was how frequently would we be doing these milestone inspections? I mean, is it every day, or if there's a rainstorm, 3 days? I don't know.
The milestone inspections, so on a larger project, and Alderman Savage weigh in here, but on a larger project, I would anticipate around 4 or 5 milestones. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, I was going to say 3 or 4, so
3 or 4.
4 sounds like a good average.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I ran these numbers. I think I came up with around 25 per year total, based on number of projects we have currently and the number of milestones, something around there. And let me see if I can pull up that email. Just to
So you're
confirm.
saying you would be doing 25 of these inspections per year,
I think,
for, depending on the number of projects and?
yes,
Okay,
on average. So then that would be about one every other week. And that seems like a lot. It'd probably be less than that.
okay. Thank you. I just didn't know whether that was a one-time thing or,
Yeah, good question.
okay. Are you ready for a motion?
Yeah, is there a motion or any further questions on the fee resolution?
Mr. Chair, I'll give a favorable, sorry.
last time.
I'm sorry.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. That's getting sent to the city council as well. So we have general discussion, ID 1623 for, from the Resilience Deputy Director, City Manager, sorry.
Good afternoon, Jackie Dial, Deputy City Manager for Resilience and Sustainability. So I provided you the May update during May, but meeting was canceled. So that's what you
right.
still have is the May update. And one
have a
major thing
mic?
that we, sorry,
Is your mic?
my mic is on.
Or sounds like it's on.
Yep. A major milestone we've met is that the military installation resilience review that we performed with the county and Navy installation has been completed. We have a final report. We're just waiting for the Navy to give it its final approval before we make it live and put it on our website. And interestingly enough, energy and communications were one of the areas that were studied and recommendations were made, especially with the power outage that we had Friday. Just brought it to the front of my mind. We were thinking about resilience and ways to be better prepared as far as energy backup and communications in an emergency situation, and then followed a few days later by the flooding situation downtown when our sump pumps were overwhelmed at 3.5 feet. So that hopefully, that will be addressed. Of course, it will be addressed when we do our city dock action plan is actually implemented, because we will no longer have to rely on those smaller sump pumps. We'll have the deeper wells to accommodate a larger storm surge like that. But that just, today I made a presentation to, there's a Department of Defense conference at the Westin, and I was able to use that example of, this was not a storm event which caused the flooding. There weren't any really high winds offshore. This was just a high tide, probably influenced, it was a lunar, probably high tide that influenced that way and had a greater pull to make that such a high tide event. So this is becoming, more and more immediate, the need to do the city dock plan, which builds in a lot of resilience factors, apart from it being a programmable space and aesthetically pleasing. And then the other project I'm working on with Racine Hodo is a zero waste policy for the city. She drafted one for me, which I need to finalize, and that would be, the mayor first would like the city buildings and city events. Like, for example, when we had Black History Month event here in Chambers, that was completely waste-free. Everything was recyclable and or compostable. Most of everything we used was compostable. And so we will put that standard on the city itself first to implement in our buildings and for our events, and then make recommendations to others when we have events in the city. So before we make demands on outside activities where if the city is not first complying and going zero waste, we need to set that example before we make that demand on others. So we're working on that, and also I'm working on building performance standards. This is a movement that's nationwide to make our buildings more energy efficient, less greenhouse gas emissions from them, using more recyclable materials. So I'm part of a coalition where we're looking at ways to support each other and information sharing, and this will be a project that I'll need to work with the Department of Planning and Zoning. I'd started this with our former director, and it's kind of dropped since he left, and I need to start that back up once we have a new director in place. So those are some of the highlights from the last time, and we're still working on pollinator, doing pollinator research for the solar park. Different approaches, burn off, or using chemicals or not using chemicals. What we've proposed to the management of the solar park is to do some test sites with a natural approach, because to do a natural approach for the entire, probably 60 acres we could do it on would be extremely expensive, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we would start with a smaller project on an area that's a little bit away from the solar panels, see how it works, how expensive it would be, how much work it is. And the solar park is not committed, the management of the solar park that is not committed to fund the project, will be entirely responsible for it, but they would like to participate. We just need to come up with a formal proposal. And we're soliciting some bids on what that would cost. And let me see if there's anything else.
Trying to find it.
So we also are working with, I had a meeting out at Cars Beach with the Resilience Authority.
Sorry, Jay, to interrupt. You said you sent the report to us in May.
May, it was right before our May, about a few days before the May meeting. I have hard copies too, I can give you
Oh,
a
you
hard
do?
copy.
Okay.
But can we go back to the pollinator?
Yeah,
I just cannot accept using chemicals, as particularly over top of a reservoir. I don't care how expensive the other is, it just really grates.
and I think, I agree with that, and because we are so close to a reservoir plus streams surrounding that area, which are all downhill, it makes a lot of sense to use the natural approach. So we're gonna do a pilot sort of approach to it, use an area, see how long it takes to sustain it and get it going, how much work is involved, what the cost is. And I think that having a pilot project, a funded pilot project, will help us seek grant money for something larger from National Fish and Wildlife and other groups that support pollinators.
Not Fish and Wildlife. Not after they've tied up our city dock.
Well, there are other sources as well. And next, I think it's the June 26th, the Easton Solar Park is sponsoring an open house on pollinators. And Racine and I, and likely Brian Callahan, will go to that, and they'll be taking us to their solar park and some other sites where they've established pollinator gardens and pollinator meadows. And so that'll be a great opportunity for us to pick their brains about how they did it, how much it cost, how long it took to implement, and where they started. So, because we're starting from ground zero with this, so that's going to be an excellent opportunity. And I can send you the date for that if anyone else is interested in attending. That's open to anyone to attend.
Could we partner with the county public schools? I mean, this seems to me like a perfect thing to bring kids out. I remember when I was in high school, I was in the biology class and we built a whole thing, but it just really feels to me like there's a real educational opportunity and maybe a funding source to show BMPs or whatever we are going to call it. And yeah, I think, of course, having my father is an entomologist, I have a lot of interest
Right.
in this as well, so.
That's an excellent suggestion, so I'm making a note of public schools as, they could do small areas of pollinator areas that,
So let each school that wants to have one have a
Right.
pollinator plot.
and build it into their education.
Yeah.
That's something that I would like to approach them with. We have approached them in the past about tree planting, particularly around the edges of ball fields to provide shaded areas, for children and adults watching sports events. The school board has been very, very reluctant to do that with us. To me, those areas are perfect areas for both pollinator type of gardens, meadows, and as well as tree planting areas. They're just begging for tree planting. And also for ivy removal. If you look around our ball fields, we have a lot of English ivy destroying tree canopy, existing large tree canopy. and which is something that we do not have for maintenance in the arborist budget right now, any type of ivy tree removal. And for the past year, we have been relying on that new nonprofit group, Save Our Trees. They've performed about 6 ivy removals in Truxton Park, and they will be working in Jones Cove as well.
Well, can I suggest speaking with HR and Rec and Parks to work with them on the internship program that they have? They just told us yesterday they have an internship program for 12 young adults, I think. Well, some were kids, but anyway, for the youth, 12 kids to work at Rec and Parks, and then I think it was 8 to help out other departments. And so you may be able to get some to help with environmental, but I'm thinking also with the Rec and Parks group, because I heard anecdotally that well, I think it sounds like they have some tasks in mind for this year, but one thing I guess I want to suggest is maybe they can help with this group to remove some of the ivy from some of the trees. And I know there are plenty of projects they could do in our parks and maybe even in our stormwater facilities. And Ms. McEwen might know of some facilities that could, I think that'd be good education if you help teach them why it's important to.
Right, that could be good hands-on learning.
I agree, but I hope it's just not labor and there is some instructional component to it.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Right.
I think that's what Ms. Johnson has in mind. I know last night it was kind of dismissed by one of our colleagues that they're just going to camp. Well, if they're working at camp, they're counseling at a camp. They're not just playing, and that's something that needs to be developed also with young people. They need to know how to supervise and how to coordinate and all that kind of stuff. And camp counseling can do that, so. But I'm sure Ms. Johnson
Maybe
would
they can
be
help
appreciative.
Clean up the phalanges or whatever it is.
Phragmites.
Phragmites. Yeah, that's an excellent suggestion, and it'd be, there are at least 2 horticulturalists of the 4 people that started the Save Our Trees group that are extremely experienced with trees and other plants that could help develop some sort of real learning experience, like why are we doing this and how are we doing this and what we want to plant here, what should be here instead. And that leads me to this group has been extremely helpful, and I've encouraged them to document how many trees they actually address in the acreage, and they reported that they have addressed something like 1,400 trees just in the few ivy removals that they did last year, in the very beginning of this year, actually. And so I think, now that they've got a bigger group of volunteers and they're planning more and more, we're going to see that number quadruple at least in the next few months. And to that end, they need a certain amount of supplies. They usually bring their own tools, but they do need some gloves, some bags, and some other things that they need to do their ivy removal. And so I've asked Racine Hodo to look into community grants, city community grants to this group. I think this is a very worthy group, and especially if we ask them to go develop some sort of program through Rec and Parks with youth and interns, that could go towards, a grant could go towards that effort.
So we need to stop here soon.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we think we need to know now
No,
before we adjourn? Or any immediate questions?
This update was from May, so
That
I
was-
guess at our next meeting, we'll have a.
I'll do
more
a June,
up-to-date-
July for you, because I had done this for the May meeting, and then I thought it was going to get rescheduled, and it didn't, and then the scheduling got a little off kilter there for a while. So I'll do one that gets you up to speed for July, because I do them early in the month anyway, so they ended up being mostly June.
Did we have any other legislation that was referred to this committee that we weren't able to put on the agenda?
We have 2 pieces that we need to write. One is
Well, to write it, yeah.
the plastic bags, the bag legislation. The other is the tree canopy in the backyards.
That's like 99% done. So, but as far as hopefully we can get that introduced soon. The
Are
tree.
they
if
in
you
the
wanna
law
s-
department now?
Yes.
Yeah, the one
They're in the law department now?
Oh, I'm not sure, but to answer your question.
there is. What do we have that's currently in the hopper?
020
What is
Which
that one
is?
called?
is Chesapeake Nautical Cruise LLC.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the party boat, one of the party boats?
No, just, that one has already been approved. The pedal boat, that's already down there. That was
I know, but
approved
there
back
was
in.
another one that wanted to
So
come
this
in.
is Chesapeake Nautical Cruises. It's about an 85-passenger cruise boat. And they had a jet boat that's about 9 passengers. So they had 2 boats.
Okay.
And they were looking to have 2 weeks at Bertastock. And the original intent was to start that lease in April. And now we're looking into June, maybe they get to start in July, and they would only have July and August. But they still may be interested in the lease, just to test it out for 2 months and see if this is something they wish to pursue in the future.
So did we prove it or not?
Well, we'll just have to, was there anything else?
Chesapeake Nautical Cruises.
It is, did they
Well,
suspend the rules for it?
I think we referred that to Maritime Advisory Board as well.
You
Have they
did.
finished?
Yeah, it was referred to Environmental Matters and Maritime Advisory Board.
Well, I mean, if we need to, we can do a special meeting later this month maybe, but, or just wait till July.
I didn't get any finding from their time.
Well, if you find out, if it's still in Port Warren, there's no reason for us to rush. Could you find out? And
You
as
should
far
ask
as,
Shapiro when he was here.
I know. Well, no, that wrong board. They went to Maritime Advisory.
Yeah.
So for next meeting, Ms. Jackson, could you also add on there, I want to get an update, development update from Plan and Zoning, because it's been a while, and
Okay.
I hear there might be some stuff cooking in Eastport that we should get a handle on, the shopping center.
Yep.
And then, let's see, what else do I have on here? If you could work with Ms. Guile to get I'd like to invite the chair of the Resilience Authority.
Okay.
I think now's a good time, since we just approved the money, to help them and find out get a briefing from them on this grant they're pursuing for Back Creek.
Oh, the AMRI, the Annapolis Maritime Resilience Initiative. Yes, that's being led by the Resilience Authority along with Council Fire, which is doing the community engagement piece of it, and Department of Public Works.
Yeah, so yeah, if just invite whoever you think needs to be here.
Yeah, and also we're working with the Resilience Authority on Cars Beach, devoting some of the earmark money directly to the Resilience Authority. And we can tag that project on to the work that they're planning to do with the improvements at Jonas Green Park, and which is very similar improvements as far as the shoreline is concerned. And if we do that together and run it through the Resilience Authority, it moves a lot more quickly. We could get into design for Cars Beach this summer.
Okay.
Did you say Jonas Green?
Jonas Green, yes. So there's already a project plan that the Resilience Authority is planning to work with on Jonas Green. If they marry the two together and have one contractor look at both, we build some efficiencies into both projects, and they can move a lot faster into the design phase.
So is Jonas Green city property?
No, that's county property.
Okay,
And that's
yeah.
one of the things the Resilience Authority can do. They can, a project in the city and a project in the county, and they don't have to go through either one of our procurement processes, and they can move it along through a contractor of their choosing.
Thank you.
If
You're
you could
welcome.
also, Ms. Jackson, add to the agenda for next meeting, I'd like to invite Recreation and Parks so we can get briefed on the Phragmites removal. And then, because I know when those removals take place, they have to, if they're going to spray, they need to do it this fall. The other thing to add would be the plastic bag legislation. I'll try to tentatively, I'll try to get that draft to the committee and law office. I think that's it. Anything else the committee wants on the next agenda?
That I can think of.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn then? Anything else in good order?
Yeah, move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
Okay.